Tamar Braxton is right now in the hospital fighting for her life, because apparently there's been some reports that for everybody to pray for Tamar and her family. And this girl tweeted back, oh, who is she fighting now? You know, and it just makes me so upset when people have no compassion, man. Like, none. Like, this girl's in the hospital fighting for her life. That's what she's fighting for. And it's real life. This ain't reality TV.
Atlanta nights are never quiet, but this one roared louder than anyone could have imagined. When the sun dipped behind the skyline, nobody could have guessed the darkness would end with Tamar Braxton in a hospital bed, blood staining the floor, her teeth missing, and her name now entangled with Yandy Smith, Mendeecees Harris, and even Funky Deneva. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was chaos carved into neon and blood. The night had started so simple. Tamar Braxton and her longtime friend Funky Deneva sat across from each other at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, raising glasses, laughing between bites, snapping playful Instagram moments. If you only saw those clips, you'd think it was just another glamorous Atlanta night. But anyone who knows the city knows better. Here, peace is temporary. Energy can flip in seconds. And when Tamar Braxton and Funky Deneva walked into V12 Lounge later that evening, everything flipped, because waiting inside was Mendeecees Harris. Yes, Mendeecees Harris, husband of Yandy Smith, the man who built a reputation on silence louder than words, a man whose name has been dragged through countless cheating rumors, shady whispers, and messy storylines. Witnesses inside swear they saw Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees Harris vibing heavy, leaning close, heads tilted, secrets traded over the bass, fingers brushing just enough to raise eyebrows. It wasn't business, it was dangerous. And where there's Mendeecees Harris, there's always Yandy Smith. The moment she entered the lounge, the atmosphere froze. Picture it, Tamar Braxton, laughing too loud, standing too close, shimmering under club lights, and then Yandy Smith, gliding in, calm but radiating a quiet, icy threat. The music thumped. But what everyone felt was tension. Accounts split on what happened next. Some say Tamar Braxton smirked, dismissive. Others insist Yandy Smith walked straight toward her. But one fact is clear, they clashed. "You got a problem?" Tamar Braxton allegedly hissed, her tone slicing through the music. "Do I?" Yandy Smith fired back, calm but cutting, her stare like a blade across the room. Phones rose, drinks froze. Everyone knew Atlanta history was being written in that moment. And Mendeecees Harris? He sat back, silent as always, watching two women burn while his name soaked in gasoline. That's always been his pattern, stay mute while the fire rages around him. But Tamar Braxton doesn't do silence. She turned up louder. Shade dropped heavier. "You think you own him?" she snapped, according to witnesses. Yandy Smith, queen of silence as strategy, didn't shout. She didn't need to. Her silence burned like wildfire. And then, chaos struck. Some swear a glass was hurled. Others claim Tamar Braxton slammed one on the table. A few insist Yandy Smith shoved it away. Whatever it was, liquid splashed, voices erupted, and whispers turned into an explosion. And in that storm, one name resurfaced: Cousin Kesha. The same Kesha who once shocked the Love and Hip Hop reunion by charging across the stage at Samantha, the mother of Mendeecees Harris's child. Witnesses say they saw her again that night. Did Kesha shove Tamar Braxton? Did she swing in the blur? Nobody knows for sure. But Atlanta agreed on one thing: if Kesha pulled up, then this wasn't just messy anymore. This was deadly. And then there was Funky Deneva. Some say he tried to calm the storm. Others claim he smirked, already scripting the retelling in his head. Either way, he didn't stop it. Tamar Braxton screaming, Yandy Smith polished but furious, Mendeecees Harris unmoved, silent, calculating, and Funky Deneva, caught between concern and content creation. By the time Tamar Braxton was dragged out of V12 Lounge, hashtags had already caught fire. Hashtag TAMARVCNDY. Hashtag Mendeecees drama. Hashtag ClashIts12. TikTok had its spread before she even made it home. Atlanta was buzzing, but nobody expected what came after hours later. Tamar Braxton shattered the internet. She confessed she had woken up in a pool of blood. Nose fractured, teeth missing, body weak, memory blank. A friend had found her, panicked, screaming, and in her own words, she wrote, "I almost died." Think about that. Tamar Braxton, bold, unshakable, untouchable, reduced to silence hours after clashing with Yandy Smith. Hours after getting too close to Mendeecees Harris. Hours after leaving in a car. Funky Dineva confirmed the accident? Coincidence or revenge? Because when Yandy Smith is in the picture, silence is strategy. When Mendeecees Harris is involved, silence is survival. And when Tamar Braxton is the one bleeding, silence is never enough. Now fans weren't whispering anymore. They were shouting, Yandy Smith didn't swing, but cousin Kesha might have. And today, Tamar Braxton lies in a hospital bed. Mendeecees Harris hasn't spoken. Yandy Smith is still posting curative family photos. Funky Dineva is still cracking jokes. And Atlanta is still buzzing with one burning question. What really happened that night between Tamar Braxton and Yandy Smith? The morning after, Atlanta woke up gossiping, but Tamar Braxton woke up broken. Her post detonated online. I almost died Sunday. I was found in a pool of blood with a face injury. I fractured my nose, lost my teeth, and my mobility. I don't even know what happened. Fans froze. Tamar Braxton, once the loudest voice in every room, now weak, bloodied, missing for teeth. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was survival. And the chilling part? The timeline matched perfectly. Hours before, she was in the same club as Mendeecees Harris. Hours before, she clashed with Yandy Smith. Hours before, she rode home with Funky Dineva in the car. The dots connected themselves on Twitter. One post exploded. Tamar Braxton fought Yandy Smith, got handled, and ended up in a hospital. Mendeecees stayed silent. As always, Funky Dineva's acting dumb. It's too obvious. Thousands of likes, thousands of retweets, because silence is suspicious. And the silence of Mendeecees Harris, Yandy Smith, and even Funky Dineva only fanned the fire. When Tamar Braxton posted her near-death account, fans zoomed in on every word. I almost died. I don't even know what happened to me. How? Does someone wake up in a pool of blood and not know? How does someone lose for teeth and forget the moment it happened? To fans, it didn't sound like a stumble. It didn't sound like an accident. It sounded like an attack, and the first name on their lips, Yandy Smith. Yandy Smith, the reality queen who perfected silence as strategy. Yandy Smith, the woman who once brought her cousin Kesha to a reunion taping, where she lunched at Samantha on national TV. Yandy Smith, who doesn't have to swing when her family will. So when Tamar Braxton ended up bloody just hours after clashing with Yandy Smith, the internet made up its mind. This wasn't random, this was revenge. Now, let's talk about Funky Dineva. If anyone could have cleared the smoke, it was him. He ate dinner with Tamar. He walked her into V12. He sat in the car. He admitted the ride ended at her house. But when the storm hit online, Funky Dineva didn't sound shocked. He didn't sound worried. He didn't even sound concerned. Instead, he laughed, he made jokes. He posted a parody wanted poster accusing himself of nonsense crimes, slipping something in Tamar's drink, stealing her laptop, joining the Illuminati. Fans didn't laugh. They snapped. How can you joke? One demanded when Tamar said she almost died. Another accused him, this is cover-up energy. Funky Deneva knows more than he's saying. And maybe he does, because in one of his own videos, Funky Deneva admitted something chilling. Tamar Braxton texted him the next morning, asking for a dentist's number. She told him, I'm missing for teeth. For teeth gone in a single night, and instead of panicking, instead of demanding answers, Funky Deneva brushed it off. Ask yourself this, if your friend texted you saying she lost for teeth overnight, would you laugh it off? Or would you run to check on her? To fans, his reaction didn't look like innocence. It looked like guilt. It looked like deflection, and then there's Mendeecees Harris, always silent, always letting the women around him burn while he stays untouched. If he was innocent, if this was just bad luck, wouldn't he defend himself? Wouldn't he protect Tamar Braxton? Wouldn't he reassure Yandy Smith? But instead, silence. No pose. No denial, no defense, just silence, and silence, this time, screamed louder than anything. Fans know his history, the cheating whispers, the shady behavior, the quiet hiding behind Yandy Smith's brand while others caught fire. His silence has always been his weapon. But this time, that silence feels like confirmation. Meanwhile, Yandy Smith played her role to perfection. No ranting, no messy clapbacks, no visible emotion, just family photos, cute captions, smiling kids. A carefully curated image. Fans saw it instantly. Strategy. She didn't need to explain. She didn't need to deny. She let silence and her cousin's shadow do the talking. Because cousin Kesha never left her orbit when Tamar Braxton woke up broken. Fans didn't need receipts. They remembered the reunion. They remembered Kesha's face. They remembered the swing. On TikTok, reenactments went viral, actors screaming as Tamar, glaring as Yandy, frozen as Mendeecees, smirking as Funky Deneva. Comments lit up, this is exactly what happened. Tamar got bold, Yandy stayed calm. Kesha pulled up. Now Tamar's in the hospital. On Instagram, memes exploded. Pictures of Yandy Smith with captions like, don't play with her man unless you're ready for Kesha. On Twitter, debates burned, half defended Tamar. No woman deserves to wake up bloody. The other half dragged her. She's messy. She went after Mendeecees and got handled. But through it all, one thing was undeniable, the streets weren't calling it an accident, they were calling it revenge, and the bigger problem? Tamar Braxton hasn't spoken since. No Instagram live. No denial, no explanation. Just one bloody post. So now, the silence is louder than ever, the silence of Tamar Braxton. The silence of Mendeecees Harris, the silence of Yandy Smith, and the fake, uneasy laughter of Funky Deneva. When everyone stays quiet, the streets don't wait for statements, they create their own. And the story they've written is ugly. Tamar Braxton was creeping too close to Mendeecees Harris. Yandy Smith found out, cousin Kesha pulled up, and before the night was over, Tamar Braxton was lying in a hospital bed. So what really happened? Did Tamar Braxton simply collapse from exhaustion? Did Yandy Smith's cousin deliver a blow in the blur of chaos? Did Mendeecees Harris know more than he admitted? Or was his silence the answer? All along, and is Funky Deneva covering it up with jokes and deflection? One fact is undeniable. Tamar Braxton is in the hospital, and the streets are screaming for answers. Because in Atlanta, silence doesn't bury the truth, silence is a truth. By morning, the city buzzed with a single narrative. Tamar Braxton went from club lights to hospital lights. In just a few hours, the deeper question lingered, was this tragedy an accident? Or was it revenge wrapped in silence? Because the longer Tamar Braxton stayed quiet, the louder the speculation became. And soon the whispers turned into shouts. Yandy Smith knew. Mendeecees Harris was there. Cousin Kesha pulled up. When Tamar Braxton first posted her chilling confession, I almost died. I was found in a pool of blood. I lost my teeth. I fractured my nose. Sympathy poured in. Fans were shocked. Celebrities rushed with prayers. But sympathy fades fast. And weeks later, the questions only burned hotter. Why hasn't Tamar Braxton explained herself? Why didn't she clear Mendeecees Harris's name if he's innocent? Why hasn't she shut down the rumors about Yandy Smith? Timelines overflowed with these demands. But instead of clarity, Tamar Braxton offered only silence, and that silence began to consume her. Some fans framed her as a victim, blindsided by an orchestrated attack. Others dragged her mercilessly, calling her reckless, messy, even foolish. For entertaining Mendeecees Harris in the first place, the narrative split down the middle. And dangling in that split was Tamar Braxton's career, hanging by a fragile thread. Meanwhile, Yandy Smith moved exactly how she always moves. Polished, strategic, untouchable, no rants. No messy clapbacks, just curated positivity, smiling family, portraits, business promotions, polished captions, while Tamar Braxton bled online. Yandy Smith glowed online. And fans noticed. They whispered, then shouted, Yandy Smith doesn't have to raise her voice. Because silence has always been her sharpest weapon. Everyone remembered Cousin Kesha. Everyone remembered the reunion chaos. Everyone remembered how Yandy Smith tried to pretend she didn't know her cousin until the cameras forced the truth. So when Tamar Braxton's teeth went missing and her face was fractured, fans didn't ask if. They asked how. How did Yandy Smith orchestrate it without lifting a hand? The streets already had the answer. Cousin Kesha pulled up. That's the brilliance and danger of Yandy Smith's silence. She doesn't need to confirm or deny. She doesn't even need to speak. Her cousin's reputation does the talking. And then there's Mendeecees Harris. The man who sat in that lounge. The man who leaned too close to Tamar Braxton. The man who ignited the fuse with nothing more than his presence. Fans turned on him too. If you were innocent, Mendeecees Harris, why not speak if you didn't? Leave with her. Why not prove it if you loved Yandy Smith? Why not defend her? But this is exactly what Mendeecees Harris has always done. He's been accused of cheating, lying, dodging responsibility. His silence is his shield. He lets the women around him burn while he disappears into the smoke. And once again, he let Tamar Braxton and Yandy Smith take the fire while he sat still. To some, it looked cowardly. To others, calculated. But one thing was certain, his silence was gasoline on the flames. And then, there's Funky Deneva, the so-called friend who should have protected Tamar Braxton, but turned her nightmare into a comedy skit. Instead of defending her, he made jokes. Instead of clarifying, he mocked. Instead of concern, he laughed. Fans erupted. How can you laugh when Tamar Braxton said she almost died? When demanded. Another tweeted, Funky Deneva is covering up for Mendeecees and Yandy. Even his own words sounded suspicious. He admitted Tamar Braxton texted him, I lost for teeth gone in a single night, and his reaction was to brush it off. No panic, no urgency. No demand for answers. To fans, that wasn't friendship, that was deflection. That was the behavior of someone hiding something. Maybe protecting Mendeecees Harris. Maybe shielding Yandy Smith. Or maybe protecting himself. So when the silence of Tamar Braxton, the silence of Mendeecees Harris, the silence of Yandy Smith, and the fake laughter of Funky Deneva collide, the streets take over. And the streets already reached their verdict. Tamar Braxton was seen with Mendeecees Harris. Yandy Smith found out. Cousin Kesha pulled up. Tamar Braxton ended in the hospital. On Twitter, the hashtags told the story. Hashtag KESHA pulled up. Hashtag YNDYVSTAMAR. Hashtag Mendeecees. Hashtag Bloody TAMAR. On TikTok, reenactments went viral. Creators stumbling as Tamar Braxton, glaring as Yandy Smith, sitting stone-faced as Mendeecees Harris, laughing as Funky Deneva. On Instagram, the memes never stopped. Yandy Smith's face captioned, Don't play with her, man, unless you're ready for Cousin Kesha. The internet wrote the narrative, and the silence of the real players only sealed it tighter. But here's why this scandal cuts deeper than memes or hashtags. It's not just about Tamar Braxton's broken teeth. It's not just about Yandy Smith's silence. It's not just about Mendeecees Harris's quiet or Funky Deneva's deflection. It's about the blurred line between reality TV and real life, on love and hip-hop, the fights, the shade, the betrayal. They get edited, packaged, and aired. But this was real. Real blood, real teeth, real hospital lights. And yet audiences consumed it the same way. We meme it, we gossip it, we laugh. Tamar Braxton's pain becomes content. Yandy Smith's silence becomes strategy. Mendeecees Harris's quiet becomes fuel. Funky Deneva's jokes become viral clips. And that's the tragedy, real life, reduced to a storyline. And through it all, one name refuses to fade, Cousin Kesha. Every time fans mention Tamar Braxton's bloody night, they mention Kesha. Every time they drag Yandy Smith, they mention Kesha. Every time they accuse Mendeecees Harris, they mention Kesha. She doesn't post. She doesn't appear. But her shadow looms over every headline. Because fans know, Yandy Smith doesn't fight battles directly. She doesn't have to. She has Cousin Kesha for that. And when Tamar Braxton woke up broken, bloodied, and confused, the streets didn't hesitate. They said it loud. Kesha pulled up, case closed. So here we are. Tamar Braxton still silent. Mendeecees Harris still silent. Yandy Smith still silent. Funky Deneva still laughing. And Cousin Kesha, she hasn't said a word. But she doesn't need to. Her reputation screams louder than any denial ever could. And the question remains, what really happened that night? Was it an accident? Or was it revenge delivered in silence? Because in Atlanta, silence isn't empty, silence is power. Silence is strategy, silence is survival, and silence is the loudest confession of all.